Welcome to Gift of Life, the Organ Transplant Podcast. These are the stories of those who have received, given, and who are waiting for the gift of life, organ transplantation. Now here's your host and heart and kidney recipient, BJ Odom.
Welcome to the Gift of Life, the Organ Transplant Podcast, where we explore the extraordinary world of organ transplantation. I'm your host, BJ Odom. Each week, we share inspiring stories and introduce you to remarkable individuals sharing their own transplant stories. Be sure to support the podcast by leaving a 5-star review and subscribe on your preferred podcast platform. Have a transplant story yourself? You'd like to share it? Well, just send us an email, giftoflifepodcast@gmail.com. Again, that's giftoflifepodcast@gmail.com. And don't forget to connect with us on Facebook, Gift of Life, the Organ Transplant Podcast. Also like to remind you, my memoir, More Parts Than a Chicken Nugget, is now available on Amazon. It takes you all the way through all of my medical journey, from 22 months old all the way to present day. Not only that, we talk a little about me getting into radio and some behind-the-scenes radio gossip. Also, we discuss a little bit of my comedy career. I think you'll enjoy the read. Sometimes it'll make you smile, sometimes it'll make you cry. But check it out. More Parts Than a Chicken Nugget, available on Amazon. This week, we meet Kathy Anderson, a true miracle in the transplant world. At just 20 years old, while pregnant with twins, a medication caused severe heart damage that nearly ended her life. But thanks to the gift of organ donation, Kathy received a life-saving heart transplant. And that was over 38 years ago. Her story of survival, motherhood, and gratitude is one that will inspire anyone touched by transplantation. Let me tell you this, it surely inspired me for sure. We'll dive into Kathy's journey coming up next. Kathy, 38 years with a heart transplant. I am so excited to hear your story, but before we start, why don't you tell us just a little bit about yourself?
Well, my name is Kathy. Like you said, I'm 50, almost 59 now. And I've got 2 daughters, a husband, and 2 son-in-laws, and 5 grandbabies.
All right. You are rocking, girl.
Life is good.
Well, we always start out by the beginning because everyone has a different story, and you had a heart transplant. And where did it all begin for you?
Well, I was pregnant with twins, and I started having premature labor, and my doctor at the time put on a medication called Ridodrine. It's also known as Utapar. I took it for 63 days, and I was still working at the time, too. They didn't have me stop work, and it deteriorated my heart muscle. I had delivered my twins, had a heart issue about 4 weeks early, and they were healthy. After that, my health declined. I went to the hospital thinking I had the flu, and the next thing I know, I'm having stuff stuck from head to toe inside. They were doing a heart cath, and I remember when after that heart cath, I thought, oh, I'm so thankful I'll never have to have another one of those. That was like a one-time thing I was ever going to have. Well, that proved to not be true. And my babies they were born March 16th, and on April the 15th, I was hooked up to a mechanical heart called the LVAD. It was about the size of a washing machine back in the day in 1987.
Yeah, because nowadays they can actually carry them around with them. That's how much medical science has changed.
Not only that, they couldn't even close my chest. My chest had to stay open. And my family, I was draped with sheets of sterile sheets, obviously. And my family was able to come in and see me. I was not awake, but they were able to come in and see me. And within 24 hours, they found a heart, and it came from Florida. I don't know anything about the donor family, but I'm so thankful and grateful for that precious gift that they gave me. And that next day on the 16th, I was transplanted. And about 8 days later, I went home.
Wow.
And that was 38 and a half years ago.
38 and a half years with a transplanted heart, and you're still doing good, right?
Still doing great. I mean, yeah, you're a transplant patient, you're on certain medications. You're going to have good days and you're going to have bad days. And I have them just like anybody else. But I do have more good days than bad days. And I'm so thankful for that. And you just get up in the morning, your feet hit the floor, and you thank the Lord that you're alive and another day.
So 38 years. Now, I know a lot of people, actually, I know a young man who listens to this podcast on a regular basis, and he's on an LVAD, but he's got one that he now carries around. He's at home and he's doing things, and he's looking forward to a heart transplant. But he said when he found this podcast, and he ran immediately to his father's house and said, "Hey, Dad, there's this podcast, and a guy has been living with 22 years now with a transplanted heart." Now, you have beat my record, girl.
Yes, I have by a little bit. I'm just thankful to be here. And stuff has come so far. Like I found this podcast, and I found different sites on social media that I follow, and I read the stuff and I'm like, what is all this stuff? Because there's so much different stuff now and so much new stuff than what there was in 1987. We didn't have Prograf or tacrolimus back then. We had cyclosporin, and it was liquid, and you had to put it in a glass and a metal spoon with chocolate milk or orange juice and drink it. I did that for about 6 years. And then in 1994, they came out with Prograf, which is the brand name for tacrolimus. And it was just this cute little pill. And I'm like, you can't imagine how hard it was twice a day to take this oily substance and drink it with chocolate milk or orange juice, and especially when you travel. So that was a huge. I was so excited when they came out with the pill form.
Yeah, because I just started the Prograf for a long time. I was on my Fortic, and I was on the cyclosporin, and then and like many of us transplant patients, started getting lots of skin cancers. In fact, I'm getting radiation not as I speak, but I have an appointment later this afternoon to get radiation. And they've changed my medicine. Hopefully that will slow down the skin cancers. But how have you, because I know everybody that's been out for a while with a transplant seems like skin cancer is one of their concerns. How about you?
Yes, I've done actually for about, like I said, I'm out 38 years. For about 25 years, I did fabulous with no skin cancer. But then I started developing different spots. They were all just ones they could be burned off. There was a couple that had to be cut. But I've been pretty fortunate. Now, there's no medication that they're going to change on me. I'm also on a medication called azathioprine. And that's a medication they did years ago. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. It's also known as Imuran. But that's one that's really hard on the skin. And, if you just don't fix something that's not broke. So I'm going to stay on it, even though it does cause a lot of skin issues. And another thing, I research. And transplant patients that take these hard medications that keep us alive, it breaks down our skin barrier. You need a good skin barrier all over your body. And I'm not talking sunscreen. I think we all need sun. We don't need to get sunburnt. We need sun for the vitamin D. But we need a good skin barrier. And there's so many good ones out there. CeraVe makes a great one. You can buy them anywhere. But transplant patients need skin barrier. Not only that, all the medications cause your body to be dehydrated all the time. And it's hard on the kidneys. So I drank a lot of water. But I always have. And I drink a lot of electrolyte water. You can put too much water in your body and it'll just damage your kidneys. So you got to be careful with that and make sure it's got the electrolytes in it. But listen, years of experience has taught me so many things.
And I will admit the same here, because it seems like the longer that we are out and the more things that we learn, the more we change things. Now, I didn't know. Now, I do, and I don't know if I'm being a good guy or a bad guy, but every once in a while, I do what they call the electric IV, which you put it in like a bottle of water. I do that every now and again. But
you need electrolytes. Okay, let me first say, I'm not a doctor. Don't take my advice. You might want to talk to your doctor. But this is what I do. I do electrolytes every day in my water, and I drink a lot of water. And I use it's called Baja Gold, and it's a salt, and I pour it in a few drops into my water, and it's just a good source of hydration. It's not table salt. Table salt, we're told not to have salt, but table salt is definitely hard on our body. But Celtic salt, Himalayan, our body needs that so bad, especially for the electrolytes.
Okay. I might have to change over to that then. But, you know,
it works for me.
Now, you know, let's talk about those 38 years that you've had with this transplanted heart. Now, I've had some plasmapheresis and photopheresis because of donor-specific antibodies that I have going on.
Okay, I've never heard of that.
You're a good thing you didn't.
Okay.
But what are some of the problems? And I'm just asking because I'm curious, but I guess everybody out there is curious too, because 38 years, it seems like, you know, a lot of people that I know with transplants like me, I lost a kidney in 2015 and had to get that. But what are some of your, if you don't mind me asking, what are some of the problems you've had over the 38 years?
I don't mind at all. So about, it was 2012, I got breast cancer, and it was a spot at the surface of my skin right above my heart. No family history. So I say that it was from all the radiation that we had to have over all the years, because they did a lot of radiation back in the day of, you know, x-rays and during your heart casts or your biopsies or whatever. And anyway, I had a double mastectomy. That went smoothly. Done great with that since. Didn't have to have any type of treatment. And then I've definitely had odd man skin cancers over the years. One on my head, a couple on my leg, one on my arm. And then about 5 years ago, I started getting, my rhythm kind of went out a little bit. And they tried some medication, and it just wasn't taking care of it. And it ended up being, I went to Mayo, and it ended up being a flutter and not AFib. And as crazy as this sounds, the old heart, there was more of the old heart left back in the 80s than there is now, from what I understand. So the old heart has kind of started regenerating and throwing off beats, I guess you could say. So I had that I had that ablated, and I've done great since then. So those have been my issues.
Okay, we're recording this, a few weeks before it'll actually air, and I will be getting an ablation, in the next few weeks too. So,
okay.
So, and because it sounds like they haven't really said that, but it sounds like, it's not AFib, you have a flitter or whatever. And I'm like, what? Yeah. And so, now I've had one ablation before. Hopefully this one will take care of it for good, because I had an ablation probably 3 or 4 years ago, and it was doing good. And now, once again, it wants to act up. So hopefully they'll go in there and zap it and everything will be good again.
Yes, absolutely. But yes, they called it a flutter. And I live in Kentucky, in Louisville is where I had my transplant. And my doctors are so wonderful. And he was just, Kathy, you've been out so many years. I hate to go in there and dig around. So I went to Mayo, and, I just feel like a second opinion. And this guy, he made sure that he knew that I was going to be in good hands. And he said, I've got you. You'll be fine. So I did it. It was about a 8 to 10 hour procedure. It was long. And, but I'm just so thankful that, sometimes you just got to go look for a second opinion.
Yeah. Maybe I should be doing it now. Tampa General has been very good to me because I'm down here in Florida, and I got my heart in 2003 at Tampa General, got my kidney in 2015, and they've just taken amazing care of me. And so I'll probably stick there. But, I never heard, because I've talked to a lot of people even before they learned they were going to need like a transplant. And that second opinion has basically saved their lives in many, many circumstances.
Yes, I don't think that I could have kept going at the rate my heart was acting up in the medicines that they put me on. It was rough. Like, I'm used to being active, and I just felt horrible. And I remember my daughters, we were all wanting to go to the beach, and I'm like, how am I going to get to the beach and down to the sand, and like with my heart going crazy? And I want to be with my kids. I want to be with my family. And so no, I'm so thankful for that, because I feel good. I'm healthy. I'm very blessed. And I just, it's funny you talk about kidneys, since you're a kidney transplant. I worry more about my kidneys than I ever did my heart. And because they emphasize that so much about the kidneys. And every blood test, I'm like, okay, how's kidneys? If I had my heart cath, okay, my mother, you have to lay flat. Back in the day, I don't know about now, but you had to lay flat for so many hours, and they would put fluids through you. And then my mother would just sit there and, drink, just flush all that dye out of you. I had to have a CT scan once, and it was like, I was just so nervous about my kidneys. But yeah, they're hard on, the medicine's hard on them.
That's the first thing I always ask if I need like a CT or anything. I says, am I going to get dye with this? And because that's one of the things that always worries us transplant patients.
Absolutely.
Here, I'm going to tell you a story that I tell to a lot of the newer transplant people that have had hearts. Okay. I said, I'm going to hit the record for the longest that I went with a transplanted heart, and then you can beat my record after me. Well, now I'm going to tell you just the opposite. You go beat that record, and then I will follow you and beat, and then, beat your record then. How's that sound?
Just keep following me, because I'm not giving up. I'm just going to keep on going. There is something to be said. I'll never forget my nurse at the time when I was leaving. She said, go live your life. She said, every morning, I don't care what you feel like, you get up, you put your clothes on, you put your makeup on, you put your shoes on, you act like you're going somewhere. Do not lay around that house. And I took that verbatim, and that's what I've done all these years. And just get up, I get going. And now, I do feel good. Of course, at the beginning, when you come home, first of all, you're on all these crazy medications. And every time I go back to the doctor, I'm like, okay, what are you going to take me off of today? Because I can't take this. Back in 1987, the protocol was for every heart transplant to be on a blood pressure. My blood pressure was so low. I'm like, okay, the protocol is going to change for me. We got to take some stuff off of there. And of course, I was on prednisone for about 20 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, back in the day, they kept you on prednisone for I'm sorry. It was more like, it was about 15 years, but it was just a couple milligrams, but it's still hard on your body. And, my bones are good. I do take vitamin D with K2, because that's how you get it to absorb into your body. And I try to get in the sun. I know you're not supposed to be in the sun, but our body needs sun. And I do, don't get burned, of course, but I have in the past, and I'm not proud of that. But the medicines are hard on the body.
That's for sure. And hopefully, as they go along, things will change, and that will get easier on people behind us. But yes. And they told me this, and I don't know if they told you this when you first got out or not, but this was. They told me 22 years ago, the chances are you dying from heart problems are very low. The problems come in other directions because of the low immune system. Did they tell you that?
That's right.
Did they tell you that also?
I don't remember those exact words. Pretty much 38 and a half years ago, they said, go live your life. I think their time frame was maybe 5 years at that point. I've tried to block so many things out of my mind. And I just remember thinking, I'm going to go live my life. I've got these babies and it's hard. Do I get close to them? Because, we can go on about that emotional mess. But, my goal was to watch my girls go to kindergarten.
Okay.
And when they made it to kindergarten, I thought, wow, I made it to kindergarten. And then, I had a goal every year for something else I wanted to see that my daughters did. Well, I've watched them get married. I've watched them have their own kids, and I've watched my grandkids now. So it's an emotional, I have goals. My next goal is my grandkids graduating high school. My oldest is 13 and my youngest is 9. So you set those goals and you just look at those goals and you do what you can to protect yourself and to live your life too. So I just got back from Europe. I did a 10-day Europe trip and, I was exposed to a lot of people and there was times that I was like, okay, should I not be doing this? Should I be doing this? But I'm like, no, I'm doing this because I've got to live my life. That's what I went through all this for. So I didn't wear a mask. I know a lot of people do. I'm probably not your normal transplant patient to talk to.
But that's good.
But I also think you have to build your immunity up some too. So if we sterilize everything and if we keep a mask on all the time, we lose that immunity. And that's scary. COVID was scary because of losing all the immunity that I had built up. And, we had to wear masks in places. So that would be some advice, but that's me. That works for me. So.
It's worked for 38 years. So what you say, I'm going to listen to today. I'll just tell you that right now.
Yeah. Well, like I said, everybody needs to take care of them. This has just worked for me, but I'm not your conventional transplant patient. I also go to a functional medicine doctor. There's so many things that they can help you with. Now, you're going to find one that's going to be okay to deal with someone that's a transplant patient. And I found one that does, and she's wonderful. My daughter is functional medicine as well. It's amazing the supplements that they can put you on that help you in life. And even as women going through menopause and hormones, your hormone replacements, you can actually start feeling like you did back when you were younger. And that is such a blessing that we have this opportunity now for functional medicine.
Now, let me ask you this. When you do the supplements and things like that you're, natural doctor, what do you call them again?
Functional medicine.
Functional medicine. Mm-hmm. Now, do you usually, because I know sometimes they really shy away from that. Do you discuss it at all with your team, or you just say, and because everybody has different beliefs, you say, this is helping me. I'm not going to talk to my transplant team about this.
My nurse is Greg, and we've been together for years, and I'll email him. I'm like, all right, Greg, my functional medicine really wants to be put on for this low dose naltrexone, and it is for inflammation, and it really helps the body so much. And he messages back and he goes, I talked to the pharmacist and you don't need that. And, I said, I'm not asking if I need it. I'm asking, is it okay if I take it with my other medicines? And he goes, yeah, you can take it. It's not going to hurt you, but it's not going to help you. Well, let me tell you something. It has changed my life. I had dry eyes. It's taken the inflammation out of my eyes. I no longer have dry eyes, and I have done everything for my eyes for 25 years. It helps with, I have no joint pain, zero joint pain. Yeah. So yeah, I do talk to them about some stuff, and then some stuff I'm like, oh, I'm just going to do this and hope for the best. But, I take magnesium glycinate for sleep. I take, of course, CoQ10. That's just good brain health, good artery health. I do take an orthoimmune supplement, and I take that in the fall and the winter, and that is just to help build up your immune system over the flu and COVID months. So, but yeah, I'm a little ornery because sometimes I'm like, I'm just doing it. And then I'm like, okay, I hope that's not going to affect me. But most times, yes, I will contact my guys and say, hey, and they're like, I know they roll their eyes every time they hear from me about something, but then I go see them once a year and they're like, well, just keep doing whatever you're doing is what they'll say. And I'm like, okay.
Now,
and they don't really like to do heart casts or anything. Well, of course I hadn't had a biopsy for, 20 years, but they don't really want to do heart casts anymore because there's been so many heart casts done. And the more you get up in there, the more damage you can cause and issues. So, I think at this point, we just kind of just pay attention to my body, which I'm extremely aware of everything that goes on inside of my body. So we just kind of go by symptom.
Now they changed your medicine, because I know with me now, when they changed my meds here just a few months ago, they said to me, well, you're 22 years out now. We don't need to worry about rejection as much. So, we're going to give you a dose that'll take care of it. Because I guess with the heart, you have higher doses than you would with a kidney. So they're trying to keep my levels good for my kidney, but they don't seem to worry as much since I'm taking it, at least for my kidney and getting the kidney level. For the heart, they don't seem to worry. They seem, as long as we can keep the kidney good, your heart's good. Have they reduced your medicine over the years?
Oh, yes. My gosh. Yes. I only take 2 medications for rejection. I take azathioprine, 50 milligrams a day, which is also Imuran. Some people call it one. And I take Prograf 5 milligrams once a day. Those are the only 2 anti-rejection medications that I take.
Okay. Man, I love talking to you. This has been a great experience. I know it's a great experience for the audience, especially for those who have a heart transplant. Go, man, Kathy's got 38 years with her heart transplant. This is awesome. But even me, being 22 years out, I'm impressed.
That's awesome. That's amazing. And I said that my goal was to watch my grandkids. Actually, my next goal is to be 60 and be out 40 years. So the same year I turn 60, I will be out 40 years from my transplant. So I don't know. I don't know what I might do then. There's no telling. I don't know. Let's go skydiving or something. I don't know. We're going to do something fun. That's my next goal.
Now, I don't want to rock the boat, but you are actually where I am 70 years old. So I'm kind of over the threshold of possibly getting a second heart transplant. But I have had people on this podcast that have had, one heart transplant and then another heart transplant years down the road. And I think that would still be open to you. Would you, like, if, and it's a big if, because I'm not going to let anything happen to you. But if something did happen, they said, well, you got to do it again. Would you do it?
It's funny you asked that, because my doctor about, probably 12 years ago, I remember being in his office and he asked me that same question. And I was like, oh my gosh, then I'm thinking the worst, because my doctors know that I get freaked out about stuff. So then I'm like, oh, he knows something I don't know. But my immediate answer was absolutely. And he was like, really? And I was like, I've had the best years of my life. 38 and a half years. Yes, there's a lot of struggle. There's a lot of pain. There's a lot of stuff you go through, and a lot of emotions, but that's the best years of my life. 38, I was 20 when I had my transplant. So I've lived longer with my donor heart than I did with the one that I was born with. So no, yeah, I don't want to do it again, but if I had to, if that meant keeping me alive, yes, I would do it again.
Now, another question, because, 38 years ago, I don't even know if that was even possible. but I've talked to, transplant patients that have met their donor families. Have you done that, or what was it like back 38 years ago?
So back in 1987, I was home. I had been home about, I don't know, a couple months, and just keep in mind, I'd never been in the hospital other than to have babies before my transplant. I'd never broken a bone. It just all happened so quick, and you're home and you're settled down, and you're like, okay, wow, what just happened to me? And then reality hits, like somebody died for me to get this heart. And so I sat down one night, and when you're on a lot of steroids, you don't sleep a lot. So I'm up in the night and I'm writing. I'll never forget, I was sitting in my blue robe at the kitchen table, and I just wrote and wrote and wrote and wrote and wrote. I couldn't even tell you what I wrote now. And I sent the letter to the Kentucky Organ Donor Affiliates. That's what we were called at the time. And because they told me it had to go through them, and then they would send it to the family. But I never heard back from the family. And, I don't know. I also wonder, did they get it? And it's been so long ago. And I do know that it was a male, and I do know that he was 23, 24, I think. And are his parents still alive? Did he have kids? I think a lot about that. I'd love to meet them. It's kind of scary thought to meet them, but I would love to meet them. Like, how do you thank somebody for that?
Yeah, that's like when I wrote my letter. It was probably the hardest letter I ever had to write, because I wanted to tell them, hey, I'm doing good. I'm doing things that I used to do before. But then I'm thinking, how do I word that?
How do you say that?
Because
thank you is not enough.
Yeah, they lost a loved one for you to live, and it is tough. But when I talk to some donor families, because I've had some of those on too, they appreciate that, and many have actually went out and met the heart donor. I mean, the heart recipients,
right?
And they get I don't know if it's a thrill, but they love hearing the heartbeat in another human being. That's every story. It seems like I hear about them meeting their donor family. They want to hear the heartbeat inside the recipient.
Well, I've actually been on the other side of it too. My brother in 2010 was killed in a car wreck, and we was at the trauma center, and of course they kept him alive, with ventilator. And it was about 3 a.m. None of us had been asleep. And I remember this lady coming, and she knelt beside me, my left leg. I'll never forget it. And she kind of tapped my leg, and she just looked at me and she said, have you all ever thought about organ donation? And I just gasped. We knew he was brain dead. We knew that, but we were also able to still be in there with him and to be able to hold his hand, and we were still with him at that point. And my first thought was, wow, they're asking for his organs. And I was just taken back, because there was such a shock. And I looked at her and I said, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not his wife. There's his wife, and those are his kids. And I went right to my sister-in-law and my nephews, and I said, don't you decide to do that because of me, because of my transplant. And they all looked at me and said, absolutely not. Your brother would have wanted that. And he was just one of my best friends. But anyway, we donated his organs. His heart was not able to be donated. It had been flooded, and his lungs were flooded with all the fluids. But his liver was able to be donated, and it went to a lady at UK in University of Kentucky Hospital in Lexington. And we never heard from her. And I've never wrote a letter. I guess I could do that too. But so I've been on both ends of it. And it's shocking. Even though our family was so impacted by organ donation, it was still shocking when that question gets asked to you.
Yeah, as a person who hasn't went through that, I can only imagine, what that's like. And when I hear donor families talk about it, it's just an unreal thing. Now, I had a lady on not too long ago who lost her son at the age of 20. And what this is like, this story is, I don't know, it's just so amazing, Because when they first told her, she said, no, positively not. But then they said, okay, because we need to keep him on the ventilator another 2 days probably as we got things sorted out so we could, distribute the organs to where they needed to go. And she said at that point, she felt selfish because she said, yeah, let's don't. And she did it, so she could be with her son another 2 days. But now that it's all over with and she's met her recipient for the heart and other organs, she said, I'm so glad that I did it.
Yeah. I've worked with the Kentucky Organ Donor Affiliates for many years, and I've met a lot of families that, and trying to educate people on organ donation. We actually just got it implemented into the Kentucky Driver's Manual. There's a tidbit about organ donation, and it's pretty much just table talk. In the evening, your kid's looking at the driver manual, talking to the family. It's a conversation starter, and we've for years I've worked hard to educate organ donation because obviously it's near and dear to me.
Yeah, I think all of us it is.
That's right. Yes.
Well, Kathy, you've got an amazing story, and I appreciate you for sharing. And I know that this has affected other people. It's even affected me today. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, it's it's crazy because when you had asked me to do this podcast, I had to sit down. I'm sitting in my guest room right now with paper. I had to go back and think about things and research and write stuff down because for so long, my goal was just to raise my kids and get them grown. And I kind of just put myself off and not even think about what I'd gone through. And it's just been within the last, I guess, about 10 years that I've got back into working with organ donation and trying to educate people and just talk about it again. So thank you for, having this podcast.
I appreciate it. But before we let you go, I always ask this question. Anything else that maybe we missed or something you want to talk to the audience about?
Oh, what have we missed? We've missed a lot because it's been a lot of years. But unfortunately, menopause has caused my memory to not be so good. Gosh, just live life. I follow a lot of the sites on Facebook, and so many people are like, well, I'm getting ready to travel. How do you do your meds? Just remember your medication's in your body. If you're a few hours late, for me, a few hours late is not going to kill you. It didn't kill me, but just live your life and be thankful and try to help people and be kind. And we just live a life through different eyes than people that's not transplants, I believe. So we have a different perspective. And would I change a thing? Absolutely not, because I can see life a whole lot different than a lot of people that I know. And I appreciate that.
Thank you so much, Kathy, for sharing your incredible story. And be sure to join us each week for a new heartfelt episode. If you have a transplant story, email us, giftoflifepodcast@gmail.com. Again, that's giftoflifepodcast@gmail.com. Follow us on Facebook, and don't forget to like and share this episode with family and friends. And we would appreciate your 5-star review on your preferred podcast platform. Reminder, my memoir, More Parts Than a Chicken Nugget, isn't just a medical story. It's a survival story filled with humor, hope, and heart. It'll make you laugh. It'll make you cry. And definitely believe in second chances. Get it now on Amazon. Another podcast you might enjoy is myself and former radio partner Bill Stevens. BJ and Bill, the podcast, all on the Podcast Playground Network. We want to thank them for making this podcast possible. Until next time, I'm BJ Odom. Thank you for being a part of our journey and reminding us all to appreciate each and every day and to treasure the extraordinary gift of life.
He was running on empty, heart fading fast. Doctor said, man, you ain't gonna last. But a stranger's kindness, a gift so true, turned the night sky into something new. He got a second chance, he got a brand new spark. Like a freight train rolling back from the dark. Gift of life, let the story be told. One heart beats, another takes hold. Give a little, save a soul. Ain't no greater rock and roll. 15 years later, the road got rough. The fight ain't over when the climb is tough. Needed a kidney, the race was on. Another hero stepped up, kept him strong. Every breath he takes is a tale of hope. One life saved, another can cope. Gift of life, let the story be told. One heart beats, another takes hold. Give a little, save a soul. Ain't no greater rock and roll. Doctor's hands, a donor's grace, running on down to a brand new place. Second chances don't come twice, but when they do, man, they feel so nice. So let's spread the word, let the people know. One yesterday lets a miracle grow. You don't need wings just to save a man, just a little love, a helping hand. Gift of life, let the story be told. One heart beats, another takes hold. Give a little, save a soul. Ain't no greater rock and roll. BJ still rocking, still standing tall. Thanks to the ones who gave it all. Gift of life, hear the sound. Pass it on, pass it down. The Gift of Life podcast hosted by BJ Odom. Listen now.